The galactic arena loomed like a coliseum carved from black starlight, orbiting a dead star that pulsed ominously in the distance. Thousands of alien spectators, each from a different corner of the galaxy, roared in anticipation from floating platforms and gravity-tuned bleachers. Flags of ancient empires fluttered in artificial wind, and the holographic banner overhead screamed the same message in hundreds of languages. The Primordial Trial. Earth enters at its own risk. To them, Earth was a joke, a speck, a primitive planet of soft-boned bipeds who couldn't even reach the nearest galactic rim without hitching rides on outdated tech. The Galactic Tribunal had allowed Earth to participate in the trial only because of a clerical loophole, thinking it would be amusing. Enter Jack Carter. "He doesn't even have claws," whispered a Placari ambassador, sipping nutrient mist through its beak. "Where's his armor? His neural ports? Is that cotton on his legs?" muttered a Crentorian war watcher. Jack stood alone in the entry gate, bouncing slightly on his toes, stretching his neck side to side. No exosuit, no shields. Just jeans, boots, and a tight black t-shirt with a faded band logo across the chest. He grinned up at the jeering audience and waved. Behind him, Earth's tiny delegation sat stiffly in the observation box. Ambassador Ramon clenched his datapad with white knuckles. "Why him?" he muttered. "Because," replied Earth's defense secretary dryly, "he's the only one who volunteered. And technically, we had no budget to send anyone else." The gate across the arena rumbled open. From the shadows stepped something horrifying. The reigning champion of the trial, Gorzul, the bioforged titan of the Ulrax horde. 9 feet tall, muscle-plated with living metal, for arms swinging spiked maces, and a face like a collapsed black hole. The ground cracked under his steps. Gasps erupted. Spectators leaned forward, drooling or whispering. Jack cracked his knuckles. "All right, Hulk knockoff," he muttered to himself. "Let's dance." The trial's officiator, a floating orb of light and law known as the Vassal, descended from above. "Combatants," it boomed, its voice reverberating in multiple frequencies. "The Primordial Trial begins in 5 seconds. Fight to submission or death. Any dishonor shall nullify victory." Gorzul pounded his chest and roared, a sound that shattered glass in the lower decks. Jack casually bent forward, touching his toes. Then he straightened up, rolled his shoulders, and said, "Let's get this over with." The Vassal blinked. "Begin." Gorzul lunged like a freight train. One mace swung down, fast enough to dent starship hulls. Jack moved only when the shadow fell across his face. A single step sideways. A pivot. A relaxed breath. Then he punched. Not wildly. Not with rage. Just a clean, smooth right hook. Into Gorzul's jaw. The arena went silent. The Titan's body twisted midair and hit the ground with a thunderous crack. Unconscious. Drooling. Out cold. Jack shook his knuckles and flexed his fingers. "That hurt less than I thought," he mused. The Vassal hovered in place, sensors blinking wildly. Confirmed. Champion unconscious. Earthling wins. Silence stretched across the arena for a full 10 seconds. Then all hell broke loose. Boos. Screams. Riots on the Kryn side bleachers. Cheers from a few brave Solaran traders who had always bet against the favorites. Ambassador Ramon stood up slowly, jaw slack. Back on the field, Jack walked toward the fallen Gorzul and gently prodded him with his boot. "That's what you get for skipping Jaw Day." Security droids hovered closer, scanning for cheating, biochemical tampering, or foul play. Nothing. The punch was 100% organic. No enhancements. No tech. Jack gave the nearest camera drone a wink. Within hours, galactic networks were ablaze. Earthling topples Ulrax champion in one blow. Who is Jack Carter? Alien forums explode in conspiracy theories. Primates of Earth. Are they all this dangerous? Earth, once a forgotten planet on the outskirts of known space, was now the talk of the galaxy. Jack became a meme. A mystery. A feared legend. In the back room of the Earth Embassy, Ramon stared at Jack. "What the hell are you made of?" Jack shrugged. "Dad was a boxer. Mom was a Marine. I got kicked out of 2 fight leagues for excessive efficiency. So figured I'd go galactic." He grabbed a protein bar from the table, took a bite, and said with his mouth full, "Anyway, what's next? Do I fight another one?" The room fell silent, because they knew something the galaxy didn't. The Primordial Trial wasn't over. Jack had just opened the door, and every champion, warlord, and bounty hunter across the stars had just seen Earth as a threat worth eliminating. And Jack Carter? He was grinning. Let him come. Galactic news feeds couldn't keep up. Every planetary stream, every neural network, and even ancient starbound gossip chains buzzed with one name, Jack Carter. He had done the impossible. Defeated Gorzul, the undefeated war machine of the Ulrax horde, in a single strike. But the trial wasn't over. The primordial arena now stood as a beacon of chaos. Instead of discouraging future contenders, Jack's victory had enraged them. The trial was ancient, sacred, and brutally competitive. For a nobody human to humiliate the system with one punch, it was seen as an insult. Now, every champion in the galaxy wanted to fight Earth's representative. Jack lounged in the embassy quarters, legs kicked up, eating dried mangoes. His comms implant chimed. 3 more challenges accepted, muttered Ramon, standing at the door, expression tight. 3. Today. Jack blinked. I haven't even digested breakfast. They're accelerating the trials. Some species are calling you a trickster. Others think you're a bioweapon. There's even a theory that Earth discovered an ancient chaos gene. Jack chewed thoughtfully. Nice. Sounds exotic. Ramon sighed and turned to leave. Warm up. First fight's in an hour. The second opponent was Calyx of Zor, a cybernetically enhanced telepath from a moon where gravity pulled sideways. Slender, 6-limbed, skin like flowing metal, and a voice that echoed inside Jack's skull before the announcer even began. I know your secrets, human, Calyx hissed mentally. Your weakness is pain. Jack smirked. That's everyone's weakness, genius. The trick is not caring. The crowd hushed. Fight 2 began with a crack of thunder from the arena's dome. Calyx blurred into motion, flickering in and out of existence, launching energy darts from her palms and warping the space around Jack's feet. But Jack didn't fight the way they expected. He didn't chase. He didn't block. He danced. He moved like water over fire, stepping sideways, ducking under flashes of blue plasma, and smirking even when a blade nicked his shoulder. He got close only once, and that was enough. One jab, open palm, right into the base of Calyx's neck. The cybernetic core fizzled. Her limbs stiffened. She collapsed like a dropped puppet. The silence was longer this time. Jack turned to the vassal. Still clean. Victory valid. No interference. No enhancement. The audience didn't cheer. They didn't boo either. They stared. Terrified. Back in the prep room, Jack pulled off his shirt, revealing a scarred torso. Trophies from 100 back-alley fights, underground circuits, and mercenary missions. Ramon studied him. You're provoking the entire galactic elite. Jack cracked his neck. Good. Makes them easier to find. The third challenger arrived before they had even cleaned the field. His name was Arzka, the soundless executioner. He didn't speak, didn't roar, just walked barefoot onto the field, robes trailing, carrying twin crescent blades shaped from collapsed neutron matter. The vassal hesitated before beginning. Warning, this opponent has a 98% fatality rate. Earth may forfeit. Jack rolled his shoulders. Nah, let's go 2%. No banter. No wind-up. Just violence. Arzka moved like wind and shadow, his blades slicing the air around Jack in patterns too fast to track. The crowd gasped. Sparks flew. Blood danced. Jack wasn't untouched this time. A shallow cut traced his ribs. Another across his forearm. He grunted, tightened his stance, and began reading the rhythm. Then he closed the distance. 3 steps. Drop low. Sweep kick. Arzka jumped. But Jack followed with an uppercut, so precise it clipped the underside of the warrior's chin. A pause. Arzka froze in midair, then dropped like a sack of bricks. The arena erupted. Not in cheers. In panic. Because they realized Jack Carter wasn't just strong. He was methodical. Unpredictable. He had studied them, understood them, and beat them without ever escalating beyond hand-to-hand combat. That night, in the observation tower above the galactic arena, a council convened. High wardens from 13 star empires. One of them, a crystalline being named Voron, whispered, "He cannot be allowed to continue. He defies balance." Another, High Matron Lisvier of the Kreen, hissed, "We underestimated their species. This one, he is but a symptom." A shadow stirred in the far corner. "Then we eliminate the disease." They didn't know that Jack was already watching. From a maintenance shaft, with a hot chocolate in hand, he listened to their words and grinned. "Let him plot. I've got 3 more punches left before dinner." And outside the arena, across hundreds of worlds, whispers spread like wildfire. Earth is rising, and their first warrior hasn't even broken a sweat. Jack stood on the edge of the platform, high above the arena, watching the crowd swell below. Rumors had spread like solar flares. This would be the final day. The galaxy's elite had lost patience. He was no longer facing champions. He was facing their gods. The vassal's voice rang through the stadium, no longer ceremonial, now strained. Combatant Jack Carter of Earth will face the Apex Challenge, a collective trial against the supreme pantheon of the 6 dominant sectors. Even Ramon's jaw had dropped when the challenge came through. 6 at once. That's not a fight. That's an execution. Good thing I skipped breakfast, Jack said calmly, adjusting his gloves. The stadium darkened. 6 portals ignited around the arena. From the first emerged Zurak, an energy being encased in starfire armor, capable of bending time in short bursts. From the second, Nvera, the biochimera empress of the Thale swarm, whose limbs writhed with toxin-spewing appendages. Third, Thren the gravity warden, who dragged a singularity behind him like a chained pet. Fourth, Val Lion, the blade mind, a telekinetic sword dancer who controlled 100 flying razors. Fifth, Zelthar, a prophet warrior who spoke reality into motion. And sixth, Makor, the living storm. Jack cracked his neck and smiled. Finally, a warm-up. The vassal hovered with hesitation. Earth, do you confirm combat against all 6 Apex champions simultaneously? Jack gave a thumbs up. The crowd went eerily quiet. And then, the battle began. Time twisted. Blades danced. Black holes formed. Lightning struck. Words reshaped matter. And Jack moved. He didn't try to overpower. He read patterns. He let Zurak try to rewind time, only to land a punch exactly where the being would reappear. He let Valion's blades fly, then ducked under them while launching a piece of debris mid-flip, knocking Valion out cold. Thren tried to compress gravity. Jack rolled behind Makor and let the singularity pull the storm being into it. Zelthar spoke. You will fall, Jack responded. You talk too much. Uppercut. Zelthar collapsed. The last 2, Nvera and Zurak, tried flanking him. Zurak shifted through time again. Jack pretended to miss, only to land a blind elbow that knocked the star being into the arena wall, where it flickered out. Nvera hissed, spraying acid. Jack stood still. Let it come. Then, as the swarm limbs neared, he dropped low, slid between them, and struck once at the base of her torso. The biocore snapped. Silence. 6 Apex champions lay broken. The crowd couldn't scream, couldn't breathe. Jack stood alone, bloodied, bruised, but unbeaten. The vassal's voice cracked. By ancient law / Earth has passed the trial. By unanimous defeat of all Apex champions, Earth shall be granted status as prime civilization. No one cheered. They were stunned. Back in the embassy, Ramon watched as the tribunal's broadcast lit up with emergency meetings. Old empires arguing. War councils panicking. You've destabilized the entire galactic hierarchy, Ramon muttered. Jack shrugged. Good. Was getting stale anyway. He wiped blood from his brow and looked out the window toward the stars. They mocked Earth because we were behind. Primitive. Too emotional. Too weak. He turned. But they forgot one thing. Ramon raised an eyebrow. And that is. Jack grinned. Humans don't like being underestimated. Months later, Earth was flooded with visitors. Curious, nervous, hopeful. Some came to negotiate. Others came to beg. Some tried to challenge again, but none reached the arena floor. The Primordial Trial had changed. So had the galaxy. And Jack Carter? He went back home, bought a farm, raised dogs, taught boxing to orphans, until the day a fresh message buzzed across his comm implant. Another species just entered the trial. Wants to challenge the title. Jack smiled. Tell M to bring snacks. He reached for his gloves. Because when the galaxy mocks Earth again, they'll remember the human who answered with a punch.